It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back. We got another video for you guys today that was suggested by one of you guys in the Discord community. Shout out to March on the Discord community for suggesting this a little while ago. And this one's from EvilVora, titled Survivors Hate When Killers Try, Dead by Daylight. Now, I've actually covered this Scott Jun video previously, which should be on the channel if you haven't seen it already. So that pretty much like kind of summarizes a chunk of my thoughts for this part here. But I want to hear what Vora has to say about what Scott has to say. It's kind of like a response, sort of inception response video thing, which is fun because we already know Vora always cooks every time. So I want to know what bro has to say.
So it's basically no new content's coming.
I've been going through a lot of that. Every other game, I feel like I'm getting at least 1 to 2 survivors disconnecting. Let me know. Is that just me? Let me know in the comments. Y'all been experiencing that too?
Yo, I wanted to comment on that because, as you guys know, I pretty much don't even really enjoy playing the game anymore. I think it's just kind of gotten exhausting and repetitive, as you guys know. I mean, I've retired literally my favorite character from horror, technically speaking, or I guess his mask, you could say. I kind of retired that character from DBD pretty much because it's like I'm done. You know, I'm done trying to, you know, ice skate uphill basically with that character. It's not worth it. It's not worth it anymore. It's I pretty much have just stuck to either playing Billy or just not playing at all if I can. Especially with 2v8 being out, I think that there really is not much of an incentive to do so. Now, when it comes down to the disconnects, I would imagine that it's just been like this for, I think, like 8+ months or so. I think it's been like this. I remember talking about this topic when Quiet Kills was talking about it and why it's a negative thing for the community for this disconnecting, especially around the when they took out the pulling on the hook mechanic thing that you could do, so they don't get to quit on hook anymore. I've noticed that when the second that they changed that, that's when I noticed the disconnecting got pretty crazy. I'm not saying, you know, it's what caused it, but I am saying that that's what happened around that time.
You know, wins in a row world record, which is a terrible idea during this patch with fast track. I don't know.
Yeah, with Wraith right now, world record. Good luck.
Why I thought
That's one thing I gotta touch on. The reason that I like, if you've seen the original, like the video I made about it, you'll hear my thoughts on it. Essentially, like when it comes down to Wraith, I do think that Wraith is one of the better M1s, I would say. Now, somebody had commented and said, wait, Kaneki's technically the better M1, which is a good point. I totally forgot about Kaneki. I considered him more of like a M2, technically speaking, because you know, he uses an ability to get a hit in the first place, and that's his main source of power, and then he has to follow up with the M1. So that's why I didn't even include him technically. He is an M1 for the most part, but he's not like pure M1 like Ghostface, Trapper, Skull Merchant, Ghostface, Pig, if I haven't said that already, you know, like Clown, stuff like that. Those to me are M1 killers because their main source of damage is M1. And so when I compare them all into a little pond, I sit there and I say, you know, the big fish within this space has to be Wraith because he has the capabilities that he does have. Now, we have to also keep in mind, the other thing that was motivating my perspective was that we've seen people like One Pump Willie take characters like Sadako, who's a pure M1 character, and be able to go on like a long streak. And I'm like, wow, like, so an Unknown as well, who we consider to be one of the weakest characters in the game, literally known as the Harmless. So I sit here and I say, you know, maybe there's potential that you could get streaks if you dedicate enough time to it, if you're motivated enough, if you have the skill to do it, you probably can. I would imagine that from Vora's perspective, he's speaking for like pretty much like the average person just loading into the game going, I'm gonna streak with Wraith. Probably not gonna happen. And that I do agree with. But that's also what motivated my perspective, was because of the fact that we have you know, I mean, it's still an M1 obviously, so you're gonna still be restricted to pallets and still be restricted to, you know, timings and getting your spacing correct. holding 3 gens potentially, perk usage, how, like what perks you pick, stuff like that always is going to come into play when it comes down to getting a streak with this character, because it's just simply not, you know, the most, I would say, likely, but he probably could. I mean, if you get a character, get somebody like One Pump to do it, maybe he could surprise us. But it really just depends on, you know, how he decides to pick those characters and what he does with them.
That's a good idea, but I just want to do something different. So I gotta say, spoilers, I didn't get it. That's because I've only been doing this for 1 day, and it's gonna take weeks to even get to play the number of games required for that to even happen. But I also didn't really enjoy myself that much, and I actually have a new sympathy for people that actually try to play like in streaks and stuff like that. Not much, but I do have like a little bit of a new shred of sympathy. And that's because when you play super sweaty, when you actually like giga tunnel every game and slug every game, and like you go super, super hard. I mean, this happens. Which I take that deal. The no slowdown, obviously, I mean, it's the DBD community.
The entitlement on survivors has to stop. The moment a killer tries, or if they have a bad early game, is nothing but DCs on top of DCs, especially for me recently.
I completely agree with Vora on that. It's a prevalent issue that I've spoken about time and time again. It is insane how often I talk about it, because it's constantly being shown to us every day. You know what I mean? We play the game, boom, DCs. We get endgame chat, boom, complaints. You look at DBD Twitter, complaining. You look at DBD Reddit, complaining. Look at the forums, complaining. And it's usually going down to, oh, the killer did this, the killer did that, the killer has this, the killer has that. And it's like, okay, but what are we doing right now, big dog? Like, why, like, you claim you like the game, why are you playing it? Why are you playing it then? It makes no sense. And it's like they force themselves to play a game they don't like, and then they try to force changes that only destroy the game for their own benefit. It's not even because they care about the game's balance. It's not because they care about the actual enjoyment of every player. They're interested in just destroying the integrity of the game. They don't want to play an ASIM. They want to play a PvE game. They want to play something where they can just let bars fill up all day, and then they can get their little yay at the end. That's what they're concerned with. That's what it seems like, because the second they face any form of resistance, why are they immediately folding and quitting? Like, it makes no sense, especially when every update has been given to make the quality of life for you better when you play Survivor. It's the easiest it can be at this point. And of course you'll see her, oh, but solo queue. And it's like, yeah, solo queue is trash on any video game ever. If you're queuing in with no communication and no coordination, it's going to be difficult. Like, you should already know that. That's on any video game ever. Like multiplayer games have been out for years, like many years now, and they still haven't figured out the solo queue problem. Maybe that's not just DPD. Maybe that's just a you problem. But then when it's easily solved by communicating with people and actually making friends, like, come on now, it's ridiculous.
And when there's any
If you're not Trapper and you're not a new Trapper with frosty eyes, they're DCing on you. It's just that simple.
hardship whatsoever, the default.
That I want to touch on too, right? That's what I find really crazy, is that that's usually the type of players that you're seeing in these TikTok compilations. People on this community don't want to face resistance. They don't want to face anything that could be a challenge, or they don't even want to test themselves. They don't want to actually try to improve at anything. And I'm not saying you got to become a comp player, but I'm saying it's okay to sit there and say, you know, I may not be the master of this game. I may not be like at the pro player level, but I can hold my own. I can help my team. I can do my thing. Why is improvement such a negative thing? Why is being good at something so negative? If you claim you enjoy the game so much, why are you so afraid to be good at it? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. What's wrong with that? Why not enjoy it? What's the big deal? I just don't understand it. And Vora's completely right. He summarizes it in literally just one sentence. He's just like, you know, if you don't got frosty eyes and you're like some baby trapper, they're gonna DC. It's like you're not super easy to beat, they're out of there. We've seen that previously with the Quiet Kills video, right? When we saw the DBD Twitter clip where that person's running from Clown, runs into a random direction, and then just dies and then wants to fly out the lobby. I'm like, but that's your own fault. I'm like, they play this game all the time. They don't know the maps. Like, you play this game all the time. You don't know the characters. You don't know anything. Like, what are you doing all day on the game? Like, you're just shift Wing and looking at the sky. Like, what are you doing? I just don't get that. Like, it doesn't make any freaking sense.
Option is just immediately give up. So I actually have like a tiny amount of new sympathy there, because man, it's got to be fucking boring, because half of your games when you're doing a win streak are just free wins because the first person you tunnel instantly disconnects and then people just stop playing the game. Like, half of my games when I did this, I was bored within the first minute because the game was already over, because someone gave up because I did legitimately tunnel them off the hook. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I actually have a little bit of a new, a little tiny bit, because I still think doing that shit in regular matches is massively overkill for the most part, but I do have a new, tiny bit of sympathy for killers that do.
It's really not overkill. Listen, survivors look at it like, oh, the tunneling is toxic. They want as if, listen, they're basically saying you're playing toxic for not taking it easy. Tunneling is a sweaty playstyle, if you want to call it that. Us killers, we will kill, especially if you're evil gang. Listen, we kill with no mercy.
I completely agree with Vora on that. 100%. Your entire job is to literally kill the survivor as a killer player. There's no other objective. And that's literally in the name, to kill, right? So by definition, that means that the survivor's job is to survive. That's what that's like what they're trying to do. And the match really boils down to, can you survive this? Can you survive the challenges that you're being faced? Because when you survive, right, that's by definition what a survive is. So let's at least take a look at the definition, because I mean, I think that might also be pretty helpful.
Try to do that stuff, because yeah, people give up just fucking immediately, like even more so than they normally do, which is already a pretty staggeringly high amount in regular DBD. So that was, not particularly interesting. Now, the match that I ended up losing was because I got 11 hooks, because I wasn't tunneling or anything like that, and it was against a very coordinated, what I assume was a 4-man on a newly buffed map with the whole pallet density thing, so I struggled there. But I got 11, I was basically en route to get 11 hooks, and they didn't disconnect. And the funny part was, because I had nearly, everybody on death hook, they said GG at the end of the game, because that's how it is. If you
Of course they did. Of course they did. Y'all ever notice this? Listen, the in-game chats are so funny. My chat can always predict it when I'm live. When we roll a team, it's never GG's. It's always, oh, why did you play like this? You played so weird, but it's always a back and forth, which doesn't faze me at all. I don't go back and forth with the dead. But if you actually, you might have a bad match.
Yo, you guys who tune into my streams too, you know exactly what I was talking about when it came to that. I remember losing my mind over it, because it's so predictable. Anytime you just play normally, you roll them, oh, silence, oh, or complaining. And I always would say, where is my GG? Every time. But the second they fly out the lobby in literally like 5 minutes, right? Because the match is it's like sub 5 minutes with how fast gens go. All of a sudden, all this GG, oh, they got all of this shit to say. I'm like, come on now, dog. Like, you gotta be joking. Like, you gotta be absolutely joking. Like, come on now. Crazy. Like, get out of here, man. But I do like the mentality Vora's got. He's like, yo, I don't go back and forth with the dead. I'm like, yo, that is so true. Bro, that's so true. We gotta have that mentality as killer players. We gotta hold on to that. No reason to talk to them. We only talk to the living. You know what I'm saying? So that makes sense. But regardless, I want to know what you guys think, of course, man. Check out the original video, link in the description for Vora. You can hear the rest of his commentary and his reactions to the video. And consider checking out mine that I covered on the same video as well. Hit the like, hit the sub, man. I'll see you guys in the next one. consider becoming a member on YouTube or Patreon. Stopping on Twitch. All right, let's go ahead and read off these wonderful members. We got Patreon, Crow Vader. All my YouTube members, Brando, Evil Blade, Cap Courteous, WTF You're Not JLo, Evil Peach, Cargan Falcon, Dole Whip, Noxus, Zero Mocker, Jack, Christian, and Crow Vader. Really appreciate you guys supporting, man. And if you also subbed on Twitch, just know that you got love coming your way too. Appreciate you guys, man.